Hey all! In this video I want to show you what is the quickest but also the safest way to volume balance your snapshots. The first thing that I'm gonna do is create a typical PodGo chain. So you would have an amp, you would have a cabinet, and you would most probably add a delay right after that cabinet. The other thing that people most often add in front of their amps is either a compressor or distortion or an overdrive. So let's add the Timmy overdrive. Okay, I'm gonna rename this patch to be called Safe Volume thing. So let's say that this is your snapshot number one. You have a clean tone going from the US double normal into a cabinet into a delay. And then you go inside snapshot number two, and this time you want to kick in the Timmy distortion. I won't even demonstrate the differences in volume now. I won't even play my guitar. But the thing that you can always expect when you add an overdrive or a distortion unit in front of the amp, that the volume will get louder. Now that is the nature of the beast. And you don't want to completely match the sounds. You don't want your clean sound to be exactly loud as your crunch sound or your lead tone or whatever. So let's say that you're happy with the volume in snapshot 1, but you're not happy with the volume in snapshot 2 once the Timmy kicks in. So what is the quickest and the safest way to manipulate the level of this snapshot? It's this: you have to go to the far right circle inside PodGo Edit or on the PodGo unit, it doesn't matter, and you have the level control. After that, you will click on this little black box right here, and you will select that the level is controlled by snapshots. And from this point on, you have to judge for yourself by how much dB you want to bring down this second snapshot in order to make it work with the first one. I can't tell you the exact numbers. All of this will massively depend on the way you set up the amp and on the way you set up the distortion or the overdrive unit in this case. If we now go back to snapshot number one, you will see that the level is there at 0 dB, so nothing has changed there. If you switch then to snapshot number two, you will see that that snapshot is lower down by 2 dB. Now I want to explain to you why this is the safest place to do balancing of levels. But we have to go back a couple of blocks. So let's go inside this delay unit right here. This delay block is called the Elephant Man, which is an algorithm of the EHX memory man. There is one crucial parameter that you have to pay attention to, and that is the headroom control. To explain what headroom control is, if you've never heard of it, you can imagine it like a box that can fill up to a certain point. If you try to fill it up with any kind of liquid, let's say, the box will start to break. So the same goes for the Elephant Man here. In snapshot 1, there's less gain pushing the amp and the Elephant Man that comes after it. In snapshot 2, once we kick in the Timmy, you will hear that the overall level rises. You are pushing more gain into the amp, and consequently you are pushing more gain into the Elephant Man. This simply means that if you start pushing too much level into a unit that is an analog modeled unit, which an Elephant Man certainly is, you will affect its headroom. Now you can affect it even without adding the distortion units in front of it. If you want to crunch up or saturate the sound of the Elephant Man, all you have to do is lower the headroom control. And in that case, you have even less gain to push into that unit before it starts breaking up or saturating. I personally like to hear just a bit of saturation inside my delay repeats. Of course, vice versa applies here. If you would bring up the headroom of this particular block of the Elephant Man, you would increase that box. That is such a weird analogy. Of course, there are some exceptions. For example, I could use this parametric EQ that is technically also the last thing in the chain. So I could use its level control to balance the snapshots as well. But if you have another analog modeled unit coming after that EQ, it doesn't work that way. And I repeat, it would be much safer to use the final output control to balance your snapshots. If you have any more questions about this, please don't ask them. I'm just kidding. You can ask anything you want, but again, I repeat, I stand firmly behind this, that this is the safest and the quickest way to level balance your snapshots. And that's it. I'll see you all soon. Bye all.